Hey guys, thanks for watching. Today's video is going to be my first in-depth book review video. So I only have one book that I'm going to be talking about instead of a group of books like how I would normally do. And the book that I will be reviewing today is The Best of Enemies, and this is by Jen Lancaster. I recently listened to it in the audio version and I loved it so much, and so I thought I would break the book down for you, tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, how I thought the storyline went, the characters, if I would recommend it, all that good stuff. I do want to point out that I literally just got a tattoo 2 hours ago or something, so if you notice me being really weird with my hands in this video, it is because I got some new ink, so that's why. But I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is the Latin word for to write. I'm an author, that is why I got it. I really wanted it on my finger, especially my right hand. My thought was that's the finger that holds the pen that I write with, even though, I pretty much only type now. But that was kind of my thought plan to get it. It took me years to get it because I struggled to find someone to do finger tattoos because I guess they fade really easily, so a lot of people will not stand behind them. But I finally found someone in our town that does it, and he even offers a free touch-up every other time I go to get a touch-up. Every other time I have to pay, and then in between it's free. So, yay, new tattoo. Yes, just wanted to point that out too if you're like, why is she doing weird things with her finger like this? That is why. But if you would like to see my review of The Best of Enemies by Jen Lancaster, so this is what the cover of the book looks like. So that is The Best of Enemies by Jen Lancaster. It was published August 4th of this year, 2015, and it was published by Penguin Group. Now, Jen Lancaster, if you are not familiar with her books, she writes both fiction and nonfiction. Book she put out, Bitter is the New Black, maybe was one of her first books that she put out, and it was a nonfiction book, and it was, basically almost like her memoirs, and she did that for a few other books, and people just love her books, love Jen Lancaster. She also does dabble in with the fiction works. So The Best of Enemies is on her fiction side. Now, I have read almost every, if not every book from Jen Lancaster, and I honestly geared towards more her nonfiction side, which is interesting to me because I'm not a big memoir person. I'm not really a nonfiction reader. Usually the majority of everything that I read is fiction, but for some reason, her nonfiction I just happen to love. I was asked by Penguin to review this book. I did want to read it myself just because I like Jen Lancaster so much that instead of passing it off to my review team, I thought, you know what, I'm going to give this one a try, and I am so glad I did. So like how I mentioned, I did listen to it in the audiobook version. Penguin did send me the ebook copy of it, but because I go on so many walks with my dog during the day and we walk so many miles, I like to be able to have an audiobook. That's my dog letting you know that she's here too, and that I'm talking about her. She wanted me to let you guys know she's here. But I like to listen to an audiobook so I have something to do and focus on and concentrate on when we are taking our walks, just the two of us. So I decided to listen to that one in audio, and I am so glad I chose the audiobook version because the narrators were spot on. Especially for Kitty's character. Oh my gosh, that narrator was just yes. I need to find that narrator's profile on Audible or whatever. I'm assuming it was created through Audible, and just be hey, thumbs up because you did a really good job. Probably did factor into my reading experience as well, so I wanted to be sure that I put that out there, that I did listen to the audiobook version. I can also leave the audiobook version linked below in the description box. I'll leave the summary down there, the Amazon link, and anything else I find, I'll just leave it down in that description box as always. But basically, the story is that we follow two characters, and so we get dual point of views. We have the point of view from Kitty Carricoe, and then we have a point of view from Jacqueline Jordan, who goes by Jack. So we have Kitty, and we have Jack. The book kind of just flip-flops back and forth between them. We have Kitty, then we have Jack, then we have Kitty, then we have Jack. You get the gist. So Kitty is the supreme housewife living in Chicago. She is married to a dentist who she calls Dr. K. Children, and she just takes her role as mother very seriously. She also was able to take her role as mother and kind of turn it into a social media presence, and she created a blog. I believe it was called The Secret Squash, and she has blog posts about basically like how to hide vegetables in your children's food and other mother and parenting tips, and those are sprinkled in throughout the way, and they are just like hysterical. I mean, Kitty's point of view to me was just so funny. I'm saying this not as a mother, not as someone who worries if my children are eating all their vegetables, but for me, I had a lot of fun reading about her. Kitty, that is what she does. She's a mother. She takes her duties very seriously, and she also, like in the beginning of the book, we get her kind of taking a new girl under her wings. A male in their group remarried to a woman named Ashley, and Ashley is younger, and you know, she has hair extensions, and she wears the wrong clothes, and she wears too high of heels, and you know, has fake nails, etc., etc. And Kitty like takes her under her wing and teaches her how to dress and how to do her hair and how to style and how to talk to fit in with their group. And I mean, it's so keeping up with the Joneses that it's hilarious. But we also get from Kitty's point of view how hard it is to keep up with the Joneses. And I have to say, I'm very thankful that I am nowhere near that boat yet, because it sounds exhausting what these women had to go through. The birthday parties that they had to plan, the outfits that they had to wear, what their houses had to look like, what their cars had to be. It's like, oh my goodness, just to keep up with your friends. I mean, that sounds tough. So that is kind of a little bit of a background on Kitty. Then on the other side, we have Jack, and Jack is basically the complete opposite of Kitty. Is a journalist, and she, you know, has covered war zones, and she's been in Iraq, and she's written a book about the girl of war, and I mean, she's a tomboy through and through, and she always has been. And as we start reading, we understand that Jack and Kitty at one point went to college together, and that is where their friendship became. And they also have a mutual friend in between them, whose name is Sarabeth. So that's kind of how Jack and Kitty know one another. So, starting from the beginning of the book, the beginning is, I mean, I wish I knew how many recorded minutes of audio this was, because like I said, I listened to this. So as I was walking my dog, all I was getting from the audio was like letters from a hotel saying basically their hotel room got trashed and they owed this amount of money. And it was a hotel in Las Vegas saying their hotel got trashed and they owe this amount of money. The name that was always listed was Sarabeth. And I mean, this went on for a while, to the point where I was like, okay, I downloaded the right book, right? And I remember actually checking my phone, like, okay, this is The Best Enemies by Jen Lancaster, right? Like, what am I listening to? But that is kind of giving us a backstory of what's happening. We can't piece all the puzzle pieces together right at that moment. We understand as the book goes on, like, what's happening. So then when the story starts out, you know, we're getting Kitty's point of view and we're getting Jack's point of view, and we're learning about them, we're getting their backstory, we're meeting who they are. And we are also, while we're in the present point of view, we are also getting snippets from the past point of view. So we're seeing how their friendship developed and that sort of thing, which was really fun to be able to listen to. I really like when books go from past to present. I just find it interesting. So I really did enjoy that aspect of it. So as the book goes along, we come to realize that there has been a death, and this death is going to bring Kitty and Jack together. And Kitty and Jack had a huge falling out, and they have not been friends since, I believe it was like the end of their college time of year, I believe is what that time frame was. As the story goes along, we realize that it is Sarabeth's husband that has died in a plane crash, and Sarabeth is Kitty and Jack's mutual friend. So both women are in Chicago, they are supporting their friend Sarabeth, and they unfortunately have to be together. Neither woman Aries. Neither woman is happy about this fact, but the two get together. So once we learn about the death of Sarabeth's husband, then things really start to get interesting, because Kitty and Jack get thrown together because they both realize that something is suspicious about the death of Sarabeth's husband. And I kind of feel like this is where my review videos are going to get tricky because I really do want to break down the book, but I don't want to give too much away. I want you to be surprised, just like I was when I was reading, but I'm going to do my best. So, the two women are thrown together because of this death and because of the circumstances. Now, Sarabeth's husband, Tripp, is kind of like an executive. He has a ton of money. His death is suspicious because the SEC was coming after him and, for possible, like, money fraud, that sort of thing. I'm not really immersed in that world, but that was my understanding as I was listening to the book. And they think there could be a possibility that he actually faked his death. And the two team up together to try to figure it out. Did he really fake his death? Is he alive somewhere? Is Sarabeth going to basically have her life destroyed because of what her husband did? The two team up together to try to figure out what happened, and then it gets pretty funny because, they were best friends at one point in time, and now they're trying to be civil again towards one another. They're almost trying to, like, learn about one another again. It was really funny to see, like, Jack, the huge tomboy, come into Kitty's life. Like, I don't know, she has so many funny moments when she sees, like, Kitty's vehicle, even, like, Kitty's garage or house or things like that. It's funny to get her point of view on them, and then also, like, I've already said it, that I thought Kitty's character was absolutely hysterical, but her point of view on Jack's life and that sort of thing is super funny. Now, of course, we have a ton of subplots going on as well, and we also get a lot of them as we keep switching back and forth from past to present. But there are other subplots in there, such as Kitty having a relationship with one of Jack's brothers and how that plays out. And Jack has a really interesting subplot with her mother and her mother's disappearance and what that means. So there's other factors going in along there too. And so as much as I was enjoying it, I was laughing on my walks. Then we started to get to the end and I was like, mind blown. Did not see that coming. The ending surprised me. The ending, I can't even explain because obviously I don't want to give it away, but the ending really surprised me. There was a twist that I'm going to admit I didn't see coming. I've read some reviews and people are like, I saw that coming, and I'm like, I didn't. I was surprised. And it even made the title make that much more sense to me. I was like, oh, wait a second. It is all clicking into place. I thought Jen Lancaster did an amazing job. This book was funny. It was on point. It was heartwarming. It made me laugh, and it surprised me. It kind of shocked me. It had mystery was involved in there. It was so good on so many levels. I gave it a 5-star review on Chicklet Plus and Amazon and Goodreads and all those places, and it's one that I'm talking to everybody about because I thought it was such a good book, and I really, really hope you guys read it. If you haven't read anything by Jen Lancaster, I suggest you do. If you haven't read The Best of Enemies, I would suggest you put it on your reading list, especially if you love women's fiction. This is a great one if you like to read books about the friendships between women, which is something that I really gravitate towards too. I suggest you give this one a read, and I really hope you like it. If you do have Audible or, any sort of audiobook, I would see if you can get this one on audiobook too, if that is something that you are interested in, because the narration just made it that much better in my opinion, because the narrators I just thought were so fantastic at what they did. Don't let the beginning scare you away with all of the bills and the correspondence and the invitations and things like that, because I know that I was kind of like, what is going on? When are we getting to the story? But it will get there, I promise you. And once it does, it is so good. That is my quick little wrap up. I don't know how quick that was. I'm trying to make this as fast as I can, especially because my finger is like throbbing and I need to go put some Neosporin on it. But that's my review of The Best of Enemies by Jen Lancaster. To sum it up, I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I sincerely hope that you can read it. I would love to know if you have read this book, or if you do have it on your to-read list, what your thoughts were, if you have been able to give it a read. Have you read anything by Jen Lancaster? I would love to know if you prefer her fiction or her nonfiction books. I think that would be very interesting to learn and see other people's opinions, because I know we all have different opinions. I mean, do you guys like this style of review? Is there other books that you would want me to go one-on-one with? Do you want me to go more in depth? Do you want me to go less in depth? I mean, I don't know. This is my first one out here like this, so I will just listen to your feedback, and please let me know what you think. If you guys don't really like the one-on-one reviews, I'll just keep doing the group reviews. If you like it, you know, you can suggest some books to me, and I can do the reviews like this, but you guys just let me know. I don't know. I make these videos for you, so you guys can just comment below and tell me what you think. Please subscribe before you leave. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye, guys.